It's been 36 years since Vivian and Edward first walked across that Hollywood boulevard. Changing the way we saw love stories forever, the red dress, the limousine, the fairy tale ending Pretty Woman wasn't just a romantic comedy. It was a piece of cinema history. And now, after decades of waiting, the story we thought had ended is opening a brand new chapter. Julia Roberts and Richard Gere are back, and the trailer for Pretty Woman 2 2026 has finally been revealed. Asterisk when Pretty Woman first arrived in 1990. No one could have predicted the impact it would leave on the world. The movie told the story of Vivian Ward, played by Julia Roberts, a woman struggling to make ends meet, and Edward Lewis, a rich businessman portrayed by Richard Gere, who lived in a world of money, deals, and power. Their meeting was pure chance. But what grew between them became one of the most beloved romances in film history. The movie wasn't just about wealth. Conglomerate was about transformation. Vivian was a woman who had been overlooked, underestimated, and judged by society. Edward, on the other hand, was cold, calculating, and cut off from real emotions. Together, they discovered love in the most unlikely of places, Vivian learned. Her worth, not because Edward saved her, but because she realized she deserved better. And Edward learned that all the money in the world could not replace true connection and vulnerability. Audiences connected with that message. The film gave us moments that are now unforgettable. Julia Roberts' laugh in the jewelry box scene, Edward climbing the fire escape with flowers at the end, and of course, Vivian walking down the street in that iconic red dress. These weren't just scenes, they were cinematic treasures that fans carried with them for decades. The movie didn't just touch hearts, changed careers. Julia Roberts went from being a rising actress to Hollywood's sweetheart. Her smile, her charm, and her energy turned Vivian into a character people around the globe loved instantly. Richard Gere, already admired, cemented his place as the ultimate romantic lead. Together, their chemistry was so powerful that people still talk about it even today, 3 decades later, and the numbers proved it. Pretty Woman became one of the highest-grossing romantic comedies of all time. It earned hundreds of millions worldwide and played in theaters long after its release. But more than the money, it became a cultural phenomenon. Lines from the film were repeated, the soundtrack became legendary, and the fairy tale-style romance made it a movie people returned to again and again. Even now, new generations discover it for the first time on streaming platforms, and the magic feels just as fresh. For many, it's not just a film, but a memory of when they first believed in love stories that feel larger than life. Parents share it with their kids, and fans rewatch it whenever they want to escape into something hopeful. It's why the announcement of Pretty Woman 2 feels so powerful. It isn't just a sequel. It's a return to a story that shaped how we dream of love. But here's the truth. For years, people thought this sequel would never happen. You're hot. Hollywood had toyed with ideas of reboots or stage musicals, but Julia Roberts herself had often said she was careful about returning to old roles. Fans had almost given up hope that Vivian and Edward's story would ever continue. And that's why the reveal of the 2026 trailer feels like lightning striking the screen. After 36 years, the world is finally being invited back into their world. What makes this even more exciting is the timing. Today's audience loves stories that balance nostalgia with new meaning. We live in an era where classic films are returning, but Pretty Woman isn't just another movie, it's a legend. Seeing Julia Roberts and Richard Gere together again doesn't just feel like a sequel, it feels like watching old friends reunite, people we thought we'd never see again. The legacy of Pretty Woman has lasted more than 3 decades. And with the sequel now confirmed, fans are asking one big question. How will this love story evolve after all these years? Will it be the same fairy tale we remember, or will it show us a deeper, more mature side of love? The answers begin with the first trailer, and in the next section, we'll break down how the sequel was revealed and what the trailer shows us about the future of Vivian and Edward. Asterisk for years. Fans of Pretty Woman kept asking the same question. Will there ever be a sequel? For years, the answer seemed to be no. Julia Roberts had moved on to other roles. Richard Gere was exploring different projects, and Hollywood had shifted into a new era of filmmaking. Every so often, rumors would appear in magazines or on fan forums, ideas about a reunion film, a spin-off, or even a reboot with younger actors. But none of those whispers ever became real. For over 3 decades, Vivian and Edward lived only in our memories. It's frozen in that timeless final scene where Edward climbs the fire escape to win back the woman he loves. Then came the surprise that no one expected. Without leaks, without months of speculation, Hollywood quietly worked behind closed doors on something extraordinary, Pretty Woman 2, when the official announcement dropped. It didn't just trend, it broke the internet. Fans across social media exploded with excitement. Hashtags like #PrettyWoman2 and #Julia and Richard were everywhere within hours. What made it even more thrilling was that this wasn't a remake or a modern reboot, it was the real continuation. Starring the original pair who defined romance for an entire generation, and then came the trailer. After 36 long years, the first images of Vivian Ward and Edward Lewis appeared on screen again, and it felt like no time had passed at all. Julia Roberts, still radiant, steps into frame as Vivian, her presence commanding attention, just like it did in 1990. Richard Gere, mature but still charming, reintroduces Edward with a quiet strength that immediately reminds audiences why he became one of cinema's most unforgettable leading men. The chemistry is still there, undeniable, magnetic, and almost surreal to see after so many years. The trailer doesn't reveal the entire story, but it gives enough to stir curiosity and emotion. The opening shot shows a wide city skyline, not Los Angeles this time, but New York, symbolizing perhaps a new chapter in their lives. We see Edward in a sleek office, older, wiser, but still carrying that aura of a man who has spent his life in business. Then comes Vivian. She is no longer the young woman finding her place in the world. She is confident, accomplished, and graceful. Yet her smile carries that same warmth audiences remember from decades ago. The scenes unfold. Quickly, Vivian and Edward walking side by side at a glamorous event, Vivian gazing out of a window deep in thought, Edward looking conflicted as if holding on to a secret. And finally, a brief but powerful moment of them holding hands across a dinner table. The background music swells with a modern rendition of Roy Orbison's iconic Uno, Pretty Woman, updated for a new generation, but still echoing the soul of the original. But what truly caught fans off guard was the tone. This wasn't just a trailer about rekindling old flames. It hinted at something deeper. Dialogue snippets suggest challenges and struggles. Words like second chances, regrets, and forever isn't always simple appear in quick flashes. This gives the sequel a more emotional weight, suggesting that the story won't just rely on nostalgia, but will explore what happens when love has to survive decades, changes, and the tests of time. Social media reactions poured in the moment the trailer dropped. Fans who grew up watching the original film shared their tears and excitement, calling it the sequel we never thought we'd get. Younger audiences, many of whom discovered Pretty Woman on streaming platforms, were thrilled to see Julia. Roberts and Richard Gere returned to roles that feel legendary, even for those who weren't alive when the first movie came out. Critics noted how refreshing it was to see Hollywood bring back a romance sequel that focuses on maturity, growth, and timeless chemistry, instead of simply retelling the same story. The trailer ends with a line that instantly gave viewers goosebumps. Edward's voice softly says, "Some stories don't end. They just wait for the right time to begin again." And then the screen fades to black with the words, "Pretty Woman 2, coming 20/6, in just a few minutes." The trailer managed to reignite a love story that had been on pause for more than 3 decades. It reminded audiences why Vivian and Edward captured hearts in the first place, and promised that this new chapter would not just be a replay of the past, but an exploration of love that lasts through time. The announcement and trailer reveal proved one thing: Pretty Woman 2 isn't just another sequel, it's an event. It's a reminder of how powerful stories can linger in our lives, waiting to return when we least expect them. And as fans continue to replay the trailer, dissect every scene, and speculate about what's coming, one truth is clear: This film is already one of the most anticipated releases of 2026. Asterisk. The beauty of the Pretty Woman trailer is that it gives us just enough to dream, but not enough to fully know what lies ahead. And that is where the excitement truly begins, because now, fans are piecing together every frame, every line, every glance. To imagine the story that will unfold in this long-awaited sequel, from what we've seen in the trailer, this isn't just a continuation of a fairy tale romance frozen in time. Instead, it feels like a more grounded exploration of what happens after the happily ever after. In the original film, Vivian and Edward rode off together into the sunset, leaving audiences to believe their love would conquer everything. But life, as we know, is never that simple. And that's exactly the note the sequel seems to be hitting. The first thing to notice is the passage of time. Vivian and Edward are no longer the young couple at the start of their journey. Are older, wiser, and shaped by decades of experiences, some beautiful, some difficult. This gives the story a whole new depth. What does love look like after 30 years? What challenges creep in when passion turns into routine? What choices leave marks that never fully fade? These are the questions the sequel seems ready to tackle. In one scene, we see Vivian alone, looking out a window with a distant, thoughtful expression. That one shot tells us volumes. It suggests she is reflecting on her life, possibly even questioning the path she chose. Did her fairy tale truly last? Or has she spent years living with compromises that no one saw behind the glamorous image? Julia Roberts' ability to carry emotion with just her eyes makes this moment even more powerful, even in the brief glimpse we get. Then there's Edward. The trailer shows him in a sleek office, surrounded by wealth and power, but his face looks burdened. It's a stark contrast to the confident businessman we once knew. Could it be that despite all his success, he feels emptier than ever? Maybe the years of corporate battles and personal sacrifices have taken a toll. And perhaps the central conflict of the sequel lies in what those choices mean for his relationship with Vivian. Another key detail in the trailer is the introduction of younger characters. Though they aren't fully revealed, quick flashes suggest new faces, possibly family members or protégés. Could they be Vivian and Edward's children? Or maybe they are younger characters who mirror the struggles Vivian once faced, a new generation learning about love, identity, and resilience in a modern world. If so, this would tie the story back to the original themes while expanding it to show how Vivian's journey might inspire others. And let's not forget the theme of second chances. The trailer uses that phrase more than once, hinting that mistakes were made somewhere along the way. Did Vivian and Edward separate at some point? Did life pull them apart only to bring them back together now? Or have they been together all along, but struggling to rediscover the spark that once made their love unstoppable? The film could go either way, but both possibilities carry incredible emotional weight. Some fans also speculate that the story might take a more bittersweet direction. What if Pretty Woman 2 isn't just about rekindled romance, but about legacy, what we leave behind, and how we shape the people we love? This would explain the heavier emotional tone in the trailer compared to the light-hearted charm of the original film. Instead of repeating the same fairy tale beats, the sequel seems ready to dig deeper into themes of growth, regret, forgiveness, and enduring love. One particularly striking trailer moment shows Vivian and Edward holding hands across a dinner table. Their expressions are not lighthearted or playful. They are intense, filled with unspoken words. That one gesture tells us that their bond is still there, but it has weathered storms. It's not the innocence of new love anymore. It's the battle-tested connection of two people who have lived entire lives, but still find themselves drawn back to each other. What's also fascinating is how the city itself plays a role. Unlike the sunny Los Angeles of the first film, the sequel appears to be set in New York, with its towering skyline and colder, more serious energy. This change of setting could symbolize the evolution of the story, less about the sparkle of Hollywood fantasy and more about the realities of life and love in a demanding world. So what does all of this mean? It means that Pretty Woman 2 isn't just replaying old notes. It's building something new while honoring the past. It's a story not just about rekindled romance, but about rediscovery of oneself, of a partner, and of the meaning of love. When life has tested it for decades, the trailer hints at laughter, tears, and moments of heartache, but at its core, it promises to remind us why we fell in love with Vivian and Edward in the first place. Fans are already buzzing with theories. Will the movie show Vivian as a mentor figure, guiding a younger woman through struggles she once knew? Will Edward finally confront the cost of his empire and choose love over power once again? Or will the story surprise us all with a twist? That redefines what a love story can be after nearly 4 decades. Whatever the answers, one thing is certain. The setup of Pretty Woman 2 proves this isn't just a nostalgic cash grab. It's a continuation of a journey that feels earned, emotional, and incredibly relevant to audiences today. And as we prepare to dive deeper into the cast and crew behind the film, it's clear that this sequel is aiming to balance the magic of the past with the emotional truth of the present. Asterisk when a film like Pretty Woman 2 gets announced. The story is only part of the excitement. Fans want to know who's behind it, who's stepping in front of the camera, and whether the creative team can capture the same magic that made the first film iconic. The good news is that this sequel isn't relying on newcomers to tell the tale. It's built on the shoulders of legends, while also introducing fresh faces to give the story new life. Let's start with the heart of the film, Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. For many fans, their return alone is enough reason to celebrate. Julia Roberts, now in her late 50s, remains one of Hollywood's most respected actresses. Over the years, she's proven she can master everything from romantic comedies to heavy dramas, winning an Academy Award along the way. Seeing her return as Vivian Ward after 36 years is more than a performance, it's a cultural moment. Vivian was the role that made Roberts a global star. Revisiting it now allows her to bring layers of maturity, wisdom, and emotional depth that only decades of experience can provide. Then there's Richard Gere, reprising his role as Edward Lewis. Gere has always carried a certain quiet charm, a balance of sophistication and vulnerability that made Edward unforgettable. But in the years since Pretty Woman, Gere has also built a career around roles that often explore aging, loss, and redemption. That experience makes him the perfect choice to return as Edward in a story that is no longer about a man learning how to love, but about a man facing what love truly costs over a lifetime. Fans have already noted that the trailer captures his gravitas beautifully, and seeing him beside Roberts again has reignited the exact chemistry people adored in 1990. But a great sequel cannot stand on nostalgia alone, which is why Pretty Woman 2 introduces a new generation of actors to join Roberts and Gere, while the studio has kept much of the casting under wraps. The trailer gives us quick glimpses of younger faces. Rumors suggest these characters may be central to the sequel's plot, possibly as the children of Vivian and Edward, or as rising figures who echo the struggles of the original story. This not only expands the world of Pretty Woman, it also allows the sequel to resonate with both longtime fans and new audiences. One name being whispered in connection to the younger cast is Florence Pugh, who has quickly become one of the most celebrated young actresses of our time. Though not officially confirmed, fans speculate she could be playing a key role, possibly a daughter figure, or a character whose storyline mirrors Vivian's past. Another rumored addition is Timothée Chalamet, whose presence would undoubtedly bring fresh energy and connect with younger audiences. Whether these names are true or not, the studio seems committed to ensuring the film balances legacy with relevance. Behind the camera, one of the most interesting details is the choice of director. The original Pretty Woman was directed by Gary Marshall, a master of romantic storytelling who sadly passed away in 2016. His absence means the sequel must be guided by someone new, but still respectful of his legacy. According to early reports, the film is being helmed by a director known for blending romance with drama in a modern style. While the official name has not been released in the teaser campaign, insiders suggest it could be Nancy Meyers, the filmmaker behind classics like Something's Gotta Give and The Holiday. Her experience with mature romances makes her a strong candidate. If she is indeed in the director's chair, fans can expect a story filled with warmth, humor, and emotional honesty. The screenplay is equally important, and here the sequel seems to be in good hands. It's said that one of the original screenwriters was consulted to ensure continuity of character voices. At the same time, new writers have joined the project to give the script a modern edge. This collaboration suggests the film won't simply retread old ground, but will reimagine Vivian and Edward's story for a world that has changed since the early 1990s. The music is another crucial element. The first film's soundtrack became legendary, with Roy Orbison's "Oh, Pretty Woman" defining the entire vibe. For the sequel, early hints suggest a soundtrack that honors the original but brings in contemporary artists for a fresh twist. Imagine hearing Orbison's classic reimagined by modern voices like Adele or John Legend, alongside original orchestral pieces that highlight the emotional journey. Music is memory, and this sequel is clearly aiming to make us feel like we're stepping back into a familiar dream while still moving forward. Even the supporting cast from the original film is generating buzz. Will we see familiar faces return? Fans are hoping for a cameo or two characters like Kit DeLuca, Vivian's best friend, could provide nostalgic callbacks.